This is Bit Player 1 with our weekly market analysis, starting off with the S&P 500 index. As always, we start off on the monthly chart. Nothing new from last week, so on to the weekly chart. We can't really see anything very clearly, so we'll go off to the daily. And here's where things get a little more interesting. You noticed last week we gapped down below this trend line, and this looks like we came up to retest it. Because of the nature of this, I'm going to actually adjust the trend line to where that's the new top, and then I'll just extend it slightly, make sure it's a resistance line. Okay, so we can assume that we continue down this downtrend, high, low, which broke this low, lower high. So we would think that we break down below here, and maybe this would be an official low. This one might have just been a temporary low, but the real one could be this one. So as long as we don't break below that one, we could still argue that it's in an uptrend. So we do need a little more time to confirm this, but we're on watch for a trend reversal to a downtrend on possibly larger timescales, potentially a weekly downtrend. There's no new lines to draw. I guess I'll just add these two lows here and mark them as daily lines. And that's it for the S&P. Now the Nasdaq on the monthly chart, nothing new. So we'll start on the weekly. To clear things up, we'll just go ahead and go to the daily. The only thing actionable to do here is to mark the last low. And we'll mark it as a daily. I'll mark this one as a daily line as well, just so we have some things to look for. But same story here, except it was more clear of a retest on the trend line break. We came and tested all the way to the top. And that's it for the Nasdaq. Now on the Russell 2000, we're just going to go ahead and start on the daily charts for the rest of the video, because we've already drawn everything on the larger time scales. This one's a little more confusing with this trend line here. Are we saving it, or could this be we're breaking into it and we start going down like the rest of the indexes? I guess like I said last week, this area where the two trend lines connect will be a really good area to watch. Potentially go long at that area, especially if the other indexes play nicely. If they all break back up into their trend lines or above their trend lines, then this will be a really good confluence. Let's draw some lines. We'll just put the last low and then this guy here as daily lines. And that's it for the Russell 2000. Here we have the Dow Jones. This one's also looking better than the other indexes because we potentially are actually saving the trend line bounce. We haven't broken below and retested it like the Nasdaq and the S&P have. No new levels to draw. Well, actually, let's mark this area. Yeah, that's nice. You can see quite a few touches there. And mark it as a daily line. Okay. Nothing new here. Actually, you know what? I'll mark this as a daily line as well. And the only thing to do here would be watch for a break of this low, or potentially the midline of the trend line could be an area for a long potentially. But besides that, we have to wait and see. But this one could be actually bouncing here and going to give for another all-time high. We'll have to see. And now we have the dollar. This one, like always, the dollar just goes nowhere. We're tightening up pretty tight here with this trend line and this zone. We'll zoom out a bit so we can see it on a larger time scale. So this trend line has been going since 2008. So it's a pretty big deal. The zone area here started in 2015. Yeah, these are pretty important zones, I would say, considering how far back they go. Yep. We're just chopping along. It would be nice to see what happens with the dollar here. Maybe we do get some sort of major recovery. Head back up towards the trend line at the top, or the second zone. We'll have to see. This one's definitely a wait and see. Moving on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, we're going to draw some more lines on kind of a local area here. We're going to focus in on this price action, and here's an important line, as well as here. Here's the last major low. Let's mark all these as daily lines. This one looks worse because we have now fallen out of the trend line and even done a formal rejection, and then we gap down. So yeah, basically watch these two lows here, right? Those are potential areas for pivots. We technically haven't broken those, so an uptrend could still be possible. Back up. If we do break this low, we then have this zone here between 70 and 78K to watch. So not looking good, but hope isn't lost fully yet, because we do have this trend still intact until we break below both of these. Really, this low here is more of a mediary one. This one is an official low because of how long it's been. Price moved really drastically away from it, so we will see. It would be nice if this is just a major, like, we'll zoom to the weekly, we'll zoom out to the weekly. We'll zoom out to the weekly. And if, like, this ends up being the next major pivot area here at 80K that happened in November, and we're just taking our sweet time to get the energy to come up for an all-time high. But maybe that's just hopium. It's not looking too good. Okay, here we have oil. This trend line looks really good. We've flipped it from resistance to support officially now. So you can see here the retest. So that's nice. It's a smaller trend line than this large one above. That's going to be the real deal. Also, we have this weekly zone coming up. But like I said, expect a bounce, and this area will be our next major target. So that's playing out. looking okay, but we have a big test ahead of us. Also, we have this weekly line coming up here. So that's oil. Nothing much except more upwards movement, and wait for these weekly line, the weekly zone, and the huge upper trend line to come into play. Now we have natural gas, and boy was I right. If anyone was watching last week, I took quite a bit of time to talk about this and mentioning how it went from doom and gloom to opening above the trend line, and we shot right through these two weekly zones all the way to the monthly line up top here. So we now have two monthly lines to watch for. Looks like we might be catching some type of top, well, temporarily at least, because we have a red day candle here and it's a pretty large one. Let's clean this up a bit. They're both weekly zones is what I'm thinking here. I extended them out as far back as I could, which made me lose the time scale. But that's okay. We'll just mark them now as weekly zones. I need to remember to mark everything from now on. You guys got to remind me to mark all of these lines. The lines are easier to notice which one because they're different patterns. Like these are dashed and these are solid. So solid or monthly lines. But anyways, let's zoom in a bit more. Wow, this was a really pretty touch on the monthly line. Okay, we got to go into like an hourly time scale here to see what's going on really, because we've had such a major move. So we'll do our Fibonacci drawing from bottom to top, and then we'll look at our hourly. Okay. Nothing really sticking out yet. We might get caught in between these two monthly lines here. We shall see. But if we do continue upwards, the next target will be 6.412 on the monthly line there. So yeah, let's see. Let's see. In this 1 week, from when I did my video and I mentioned how good it was, it's gone up 66%. So that's great. I hope some of you were able to take advantage of that. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how this week plays out. Hourly chart has the most clarity, but things look really good. I would say let's watch for this low, and we'll make it a special color. We'll just do it as a yellow line and put it as a dashed one. And if that low breaks, then maybe this one will be an official. So when it comes to the lows, basically, I like how this one matches up with the 2386 Fibonacci you'll see here. But the way these lows work is, yes, this would be on our hourly chart, right? This is the latest low, so that's why I marked it. But if you look at a daily chart, we don't even have any lows to go off of. A 4-hour chart, yes, this is a low, but since this is so choppy, this zone, let's just not consider it a low. This one is more of a definitive low because of how far away the price has gone from it, how it was a very hard pivot before another leg up, like this. It was up, hard pivot, double test on this line before another leg to the upside. So, yeah, there's a little bit of leeway to where that's a low. If this one breaks, though, it's for sure we've broken the uptrend on the hourly at least. So, yeah, high alert on natural gas, but should be ready for more upside, I would think.